Hey there, YouTube family. It's Stocks with Josh. I'm wrapping up my time at FinCon 2022, but I am diligently looking at the markets so I can get my trade setups in order come Monday morning. This week, when I was in a video with StockMo, you can check it out on his page, he asked me, what is your trade for this coming week? And I said the TQQQ. We came off an extremely successful trade on the SQQQ, which I called and provided to the family about 12 or so days ago when the SQQQ was near a technical bottom. We called it perfectly, and it went green candle, green candle, green candle, green candle for the next week for you guys. And just the other day, I said on StockMo's page, I said, it's time to go into the TQQQ. And bam, the very next day, green candle. So, how am I making these trades, guys? I'm giving you these trade setups, which have been very successful because I'm looking at the charts. And I try to introduce you guys to some charts. And I know that technical understanding of charts can be very confusing. What do the candles mean? How do you work it all together with the RSI and the MACD and all the other indicators that are possible, the moving averages that cross over, the signal lines? I know it can all be very confusing. But when you're looking at the right thing, that's what enables you to predict the next move. None of us can do this perfectly. None of us have a crystal ball. But I can tell you there's a lot of safety in doing technical trading. It's the reason why I do it, because I feel comfortable doing technical trading. So I'm going to tell you about some of the trades that I see ahead. In particular, I want to talk to you about the S&P 500 and why I went with the TQQQ and how long I intend to hold it, because I already know exactly where I'm going to hold it to. We're going to see some resistance. We came off of a bounce on my page, on StockMo's page, on Larry Jones' page. I gave everybody that we were going to get a technical bounce at 38.90 on the S&P 500, and we did, okay? There was a strong area of support, so it made a lot of sense that it would bounce there and that it'd be time to sell the SQQQ and buy the TQQQ. Now we're moving up, and there's an area of resistance ahead of us. I'm going to give that to you guys. That's 41.59. So right around 41.59, the TQQQ is going to come into a lot of resistance, and I'm going to be taking profits, right? And so we want to see it break through the 41.59, but I can tell you that it's going to stop there, pause, and probably retrace. And so a lot of our trades are going to run into resistance when we see the S&P 500 get up to 4,159 range. And we want to see if it breaks through or if it begins to come down. If it comes all the way back down to 38.80, I can tell you for a fact we are going to see a bigger low. But at the moment, we're more in a sideways movement in the markets right now because the markets are still looking for direction from the Fed. We all know that he's been talking hawkish, very hawkish, talking about words. He's using words like pain. He's saying he's not influenced by politics. But it's my opinion that he is simply talking hawkish, but he's going to act dovishly. We'll know that he's intending to act dovishly if we get a 50 basis point. If we get a 75 basis point, then he would have been talking hawkish and acting hawkish. So we're going to have to wait and see until that happens to see whether these markets can rally. But if we got that 50, it would really help the politicians out. And we would see these markets have some really strong rally days. And I'm going to tell you something I've learned about politics and trading. People are very forgetful, which means that it only takes 2 or 3 super green days for everybody to be excited and to forget all the pain and all the red days and the losses their portfolios suffered, because people just need a little bit of hope. And so we need to be mindful of that we don't get caught up in that, right? Because we're still in a soft recession and we're waiting to see whether it's going to be a hard recession. But I want to take a step back. I want to share a conversation I had with Larry Jones. Him and I were dropping off a rental car earlier today, and I said, dude, we've got this time together. I really want us to reverse engineer this recession ahead and try to align it with what we understand about the crypto cycle. I said, let's look at this. I said, at the end of the day, the next halvening is likely to be at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024. The year that precedes that is typically a run-up for the Bitcoin price, okay? So normally the price steadily rises the year before the halving, okay? So we don't know the exact date of the halving. It's based on how the blockchain works, but it's likely going to be in the beginning of 2024 or the very end of 2023, but I'm guessing the beginning of 2024. And we know that crypto will rise steadily for a year before that, which really puts us to the fact that we are in a 2 to 4 month window before Bitcoin begins to slowly move up. And I said to him, how is a deeper recession going to impact the idea that Bitcoin normally rises a full year before the halving, right? And both of us agreed that this recession, we're going to have a bullish period here come October, right? Whether it's October and November. And if there is any other leg down in this recession, it's likely to be at the end of the year or in the first couple months of next year. So I will tell you that's a change of opinion. A lot of us believed in times gone by that the worst part of the recession will be in the middle of next year. But I've been beginning to see that more people are believing that that's going to come closer to us, because the markets really want to go forward and they want to kind of get the recession over with, right? Even if it means bringing the price down to those percentage points that it almost needs to hit from a technical perspective to sort of wash everybody out, and so that people could feel safe putting money back to use. That normally happens before all the data begins to correct. So the markets will move before the data aligns with it, right? So that's what we've got going. I also want to talk briefly about something extremely positive that I see in the Bitcoin and the crypto markets, and it's the fact that Tether USDC, people moving into Tether and out of crypto, out of Ethereum, out of Bitcoin, into the stable coins, that's peaked. And so there was a point in time in which a lot of money, people sold out and they put their money into the stable coins, and that stable coins began to peak. But when we see the stable coins roll over, it begins to mean that the amount of money in the stable coins is coming out and going back into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto. And there are billions and billions of dollars sitting on the sideline in the stable coins. And right at this moment, the moment that I'm giving you today, I'm going to pull up two charts. I'm going to show you. One is the RSI, which is showing that we are oversold on Bitcoin, and we have the opportunity to begin to move into a new trend. And the other chart is going to show you that the stable coins have peaked out and are beginning to roll over. You guys know how I watch cash to see that if the dollar index is shooting up, I know that the markets will drop. When the dollar index begins to roll over, I know that there's room for the S&P to go up. Similarly, we're looking at the fact that the stable coins are rolling over, which means there's room for Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the other coins to go up. Now, I'm going to leave you with one more thing. Now, a couple days ago, I made a video about how I wasn't in Luna Classic. But I ran into a lot of crypto guys here at FinCon, and we had some deep conversations, and I'm going to share with you a change. Listen, I'm never going to keep anything from you guys. So if one day I say, hey, I don't like this coin, but tomorrow I learn something that I think would bring value to all of you, I'm just going to come out and say, hey, I didn't like it because I didn't know enough about it. But now I'm going to take a position for this reason. And no, I'm not going into Luna Classic. But here's how I'm viewing Luna right now. I really believe that it's a meme stock play. So it's a SHIB or Doge. You have to look purely not at the developers or the funding or the utility of the coin, because we don't look at those things when we necessarily look at Doge and SHIB. But Doge and SHIB do have utility. When people tell you they have no utility, it's not true. There's a growing community around those coins, but they're not principally built on the concept of a technology or a blockchain that's meant to undermine an industry or to take over an industry. That's not really what the meme coins are about. The meme coins are about community. And Luna Classic is absolutely becoming a meme coin with an extremely large community. And now with these double zeros, there is absolutely an opportunity for this thing to spike. Now, we have to acknowledge we had a 400% run-up last month, and it pulled down. So there was some profit taking, right? And so I'm looking now to add a very small position. I have a meme coin portfolio, and I have other meme coins in it besides SHIB and Doge. But I'm letting everybody know, I'm putting you guys on notice, I am adding some Luna Classic to it for kicks and giggles. Take a position, see how it goes. I'll let you guys know. I'll do it for the community. We'll see if it's a profitable piece. And I can tell you, I'm in a video of Larry's. He's going to post today And, one of the things he talked about is how the majority of his money is in blue chip companies. 75% is in blue chip investments, and the rest is in cash. I want to make 2 points about that. Cash is a position. Cash is a position. And the second point I want to make about it is that's the same for me. I have more money in assets and real estate than I do in crypto or stocks. So if I've never told you guys that, I want to just come right out and tell you I have more money in assets and real estate than I do in stock and crypto. And I can tell you that I have a swing trade and day trade account in which I specifically limit the amount of cash that I keep in that account so that I can limit my risk exposure. Okay, I can limit my losses. I'm not going to take an account and put $500,000 in it and call it my swing trade account because that's too great of a risk for me. So when I swing trade, I swing with a smaller position. Right now, I am about 25% cash, and I'm probably, I guess I'd have to think about my exact breakdown of what my net worth is in real estate and what the percentage is versus stocks. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can tell you that I do know that I have a much higher net worth in real estate and assets. And I just want you guys to know that when I give you advice about stock, I limit my risk in my stock trading. I limit my risk in my meme stock investments, and so should you guys. All right, I just want to briefly talk about the links, the MooMoo small account challenge that we're doing with Verb. If you guys are missing that, you are truly missing out. That has been a perfect call. We've called it perfectly already once and moved $200 to $400. I cannot tell you how many comments in my comment section that I have seen that have said, Joshua, I doubled my money with your small account challenge. We use the MooMoo app. There's a link in the top pinned comment as well as the description of this video for MooMoo. If you open an account and you put in $100, they're going to give you 13 stock, okay? And you're going to have a chance on, I think, 5 of them to spin for stocks that are valued up to $2,000, right? And you have to first, I'll tell you something because I get a lot of questions about this. You have to put the money in first, right? And then you have to wait for it to clear before you get those free stocks. So it doesn't all happen the minute you create your account. Create your account, put the money in, wait for that money, wait for a pop-up message to say that it cleared, go to the Me button on the bottom right, then go to promotions, right? And then you'll be able to spin for the stock. You have to claim the stock. It just doesn't show up in your account. I want all of you guys to get the cash that's coming to you. I think that's it for the day. You know that I love you. I appreciate all of you guys in the comment section saying hi. Feel free. I get stock picks from you guys. So if you've got a stock that's going on a heater or you think was a great pick, let me know. If you've got some dogs, I don't need to see them. Don't tell me about the dogs. Tell me about the winners. I love all of you. Y'all have peace and blessings, my friends. And hit the like and the subscribe and the notification bell and follow me on this journey where we have been making money together. We have more than one time doubled our accounts. I've got a ton of great stock picks that I've given you guys, and I'm going to begin to cover those one by one going into this next week. You guys know what they are. If you are new to the page, watch this video. Go back and watch the last week's videos because there are some really good stock picks there that we are making money on, and we're going to need to be aware of when to take profits. That's what I'm going to focus on going into Monday, is where to take profits. Love you all. Peace and blessings. Have a great day.